Have you ever seen a man fly? Because I have.
Edwards. Oh, Edwards! A signature slam!
Edwards gets it back and threw it down!
When people use the expression, he's flying, 99% of the time, that is all it is, an expression. But are we sure Anthony Edwards isn't actually flying through the air? Because how else am I supposed to explain things like this?
Pacers have a chance. Up ahead, Neesmith blocked! Edwards getting up, and good night!
Just watch this play back. I think he might have flown out of the arena if he didn't hit his head on top of the backboard, because when he blocked that shot, he wasn't on the way down. And in a league full of freakish athletes, Anthony Edwards is about as freaky as it gets athletically. But what makes him truly unique is not only can he literally jump out of the gym, he has the skill set to go with it. And there's been no better reflection of his skill set than during the recent Olympics and the playoffs, because at just 23 years old, he is now a gold medalist and was a key contributor on the team, finishing 4th in points per game, only behind the 3 greatest players of their generation. And when you look at the other players on Team USA, Ant wasn't supposed to be this good already, considering the likes of Devin Booker, Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo are all 27 and older, whilst Ant only turned 23 just a week ago. But I don't think any of us were surprised to see him deliver on the biggest stage, because it was only a couple of months ago when he led the Timberwolves to the Western Conference Finals on the back of numerous elite performances against the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets, averaging 29 and 6 a game on great efficiency during the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, and putting both of those teams to the sword. Just look at him on this play where he has the ball out top. He gives it up to Conley, gets it back, and look at him split the double on the Gobert screen before the Euro step around Booker, and it's the ability to hang and finish that's even more impressive than the split or the Euro. Or how about this move against D-Book, which might have been the filthiest move of the entire postseason. He initially drives left into the chest of Book, the pivot inside before the step through and floater. In just that first game against Phoenix, Ant made so many ridiculous shots that would be worthy of an entire video alone, but he continued to hit crazy shots all throughout the series against Phoenix and then against Denver, leading the Timberwolves to their first Western Conference Finals appearance since 2003, a Wolves team that had a player with similarly freakish talent and a competitive edge to go with it. And that right there might be the best part about Anthony Edwards. He's got the skill, he's got the athleticism, he's got the personality, but most importantly, he's got that competitive edge. The kind of competitive edge where he thinks he can beat any Olympian in any given sport.
I got some people talking about they gonna beat me in ping pong 21-0. I don't believe it. I'm not having it.
Okay, obviously that's not entirely relevant, but at the same time, it kind of is, because that's just who Anthony Edwards is. No matter the situation, no matter the opponent, he enters every single game thinking he's the best player on the floor and thinking his team will win.
Yeah, I told him, I said, I'll see y'all motherfuckers for game 7.
And this kind of mentality has been very welcome for a franchise that have been mediocre at best for the last 2 decades. And there's no need to be offended as a fan when I say the Wolves were mediocre. It's not your fault, but it is the reality. What matters, however, is they aren't mediocre anymore, and you contribute as much of that to Ant's play as his personality. Well, that's not entirely true, because the only reason he's able to be such a great leader for this team is because everyone on the team knows they have a superstar to help them win games. And superstars are the kind of players who always show up when it matters, which I already mentioned, but Ant didn't just gain this reputation overnight. We've now seen him in the playoffs on 3 different occasions, and every single year he's been in the playoffs, his numbers have been better in the postseason than they were in the regular season. The exact kind of jump jump you want from your best player. And you could argue some of that is shooting variance, but he has the kind of game that holds up in the playoffs, with his combination of size, strength, athleticism, and 3-level scoring to pair with it. Not to mention last season, we saw the improvements he's made as a playmaker. Don't get me wrong, he's not elite yet, but when Denver and Dallas started to sell out on other Wolves players to avoid Ant beating them, he showed off some improvements as a passer, like on this play where he uses the Anderson screen to get downhill, forcing Lively to step up, and I'm not sure why PJ Washington helps over, but that's what good players make you do, and Ant recognizes that, so he kicks it out to Nas for the open 3. It's the exact same thing on these two plays, where it's that initial ability from Ant to beat his first defender, which forces the rotation, and in turn, someone is going to be left open. This time it's Jaden McDaniels twice, and both times he takes advantage. Basketball's a pretty simple game sometimes. If you can't stop someone with one player, you need two, and that means someone else is left open. But it's plays like this, which he wasn't making his first few years in the league, where Gobert sets the screen, Ant has the pull-up jumper there, but he recognizes there's an even better shot for Conley on the wide open 3, so he hits him right in the shooting pocket for the 3. There's a difference between playmaking and passing. I've seen Killian Hayes make some incredible passes, but he isn't a playmaker because the defense doesn't respect him at all. Ant is still improving as an overall passer, but he's a good playmaker because of how much attention he commands, particularly in the playoffs, which is why we saw him average 7 assists per game last postseason. And he commands so much defensive attention because time after time after time, regardless of the defensive matchup, he finds a way to cook them. Just look at him here sizing up KCP, going between his legs a couple of times, and it's the strength on that body bump before the casual turnaround jumper. That right there is why Ant is so unique, because he has the freakish quickness and bounce, but he's also strong as hell, which you see again on this play, where he just walks Reggie Jackson the entire way down before finishing at the rim. So naturally, if he's too strong for guards, you have to throw a wing at him, right? Maybe even a guy like Aaron Gordon would be absolutely perfect. Well,
Shot clock at 7. He'll dance. Great cut over and a shot. Good!
obviously there's not much any defender would have been able to do with Ant on that play, but generally speaking, he's such a matchup nightmare because there's no physical matchup for him, unless you want to teleport prime Kawhi to 2024 or prime LeBron or Pippen. That's the kind of athlete you need to match his physicality and quickness. Sometimes you wish Ant was even more aggressive driving to the rim, because whilst he does attack consistently, there are still guys like Jaylen Brown, Ja Morant, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander who are more frequent downhill drivers, and it's a tough balance for Ant to manage, because you see those plays that I showed you before where he's hitting defenders with nasty combinations before dropping in soft jump shots, which doesn't just open up the rest of the game for him, but anyone who's played basketball knows it's just more fun to take those kind of shots. But from a strictly analytical standpoint, there's still some potential for Ant to get downhill even more and maybe even get a few extra free throws as well. And this is just the offensive side of the ball. What makes Ant's potential so ridiculously high is the ceiling he has on defense as well. Just look at him on this play where Beal attacks the rim at pace, and off strictly vertical he's able to swat the shot away. So if you can do that without a running start, well, you can imagine what he can do with a running start. And you see multiple possessions a game where Ant looks like he could genuinely be the best perimeter defender in the world. It's just a matter of being more consistent on that end of the floor. And it's all of these factors that are the reason Ant believes he's only at about 50% of what he could truly be.
If 10 is your ceiling, the absolute best player you can be, where are you at right now?
I'm like a 5 right now.
All I'm saying is, if this is a 5 out of 10, the NBA doesn't want to see what a 10 would look like. Now, if you did make it all the way to the end of the video and want to see more content like this, you might as well subscribe. It's free. Dropping a like on the video would be much appreciated. Either way, hope you have a great day. Bye.